Alright, welcome back to another Roland MC-707 tutorial. I'm Unit E, and in this video we're going to go over the new added functions for version 1.30 firmware update. Now in this video we're going to briefly go over each of the functions and how to get to them and what they are. For details on each of the functions, please refer to the videos posted for each function. Now, with that said, let's get right on into it. Our first one is the most requested feature for the MC-707, and that is song mode. In the update, it is called a clip chain function, and this allows you to chain your clips between each other. To access it, simply choose your clip, press Shift and clip, and you can use your scroll to go down to where you'll see next clip and play step length. Each clip will have these options. For details, refer to the video on clip chain function. The next function added was an audio insert function. This one turns your MC-707 into a mixer of sorts. What that means is audio that is input to the external in jacks or the stereo return jacks are inserted before the master effects of the specific track. That means you can essentially have 4 mono tracks coming in to 4 channels on your MC-707. You could find these following added things when you go to your tab for your track. Shift and select. When you're in the general tab, you'll see at the very bottom, you'll now have audio insert. This can be done for every track. Next function added is the note repeat function that was asked for in a drum track. When going to a drum track and you're in note mode, pressing chord will bring up all your pads in a different color, signifying each press will repeat now. When pressing the pad, you will notice you have lit up steps, or when holding chord, you have lit up steps. These are your beat divisions and repeat length. The next function that was added that I'm quite excited about is the auto channel function. This allows incoming MIDI messages that are sent to the track selected by the select button. What this means is you can hook up an external keyboard that allows you to set one channel. For instance, I have it on channel 12. Now whenever I press each of my select buttons, my MIDI keyboard controls that specific one. Sequencing can be played in through the MIDI keyboard and switch between quite easily while recording for quicker workflow. To get to this new function, you will press Shift and knob assign. Go to your utility menu with your system settings, either Enter or C4 as a knob. When you go into your MIDI tab, you will scroll down past your track channels to where it will say MIDI RX Auto Channel. Set that channel to the channel of your MIDI keyboard and exit out. When that is done, with each track you select, your keyboard will control it. Even drum tracks, although they're not lined up for these straight up keys. You'll see that more in detail. Sticking with MIDI, another new function that you will find is in your track selection again. If you tab over to MIDI, there is now a MIDI input output functions added. which means you can now specify what CC number messages are being transmitted by the filter knob, the mod knob, and the effects knob. When in the MIDI tab, if you scroll to the bottom, the last three entries are your sending filter CC number, mod CC number, and effects CC number. Customize them to whatever you want. You can set it to control any external devices like synthesizers, parameters on there. You get the idea. Keeping again with the MIDI theme, another new feature for MIDI is the ability for SMF import function, which means you can now import MIDI files. To do so, select an empty clip, press the clip button, and you'll now see MIDI file as an option. Scroll down to MIDI file, select it, and any MIDI files located in a MIDI subfolder of the Roland folder in your SD card will show up in here. Scroll through folder icons, press right and you'll go into the folder. Otherwise you have your files as such. Simply click to import and it will import your MIDI file onto the selected track. The next function added is another import function. Now when you have a sound and you want to import a sample, when you go to your instrument select and get into your sample browser, which is done by loading a wave file into a drum instrument pad or into a tone track. We'll do a pad for the sake of demonstration. You'll select your wave file. You are now in your sample browser. Simply scroll down to a sample that you'd like to edit. Scroll your C4 to edit, and you can now edit the wave, including normalizing the file. And you now have a slice function for imported samples. That's right. Now you can slice up your samples that you have imported from your SD card and lay them out on a pad. Very much like the MPC style. While on this subject, with a slice, you can now remove slices. If you want to remove, say, this one, you will simply hold clear and press the C2 knob on the position you want to remove. It'll remove the endpoint of that position and take it to the next one. There you go. Removing slice points within a imported sample that you can now slice and normalize. The next function added is a step LFO editor. Now when you're in a tone track and you are in your sound edit or tone edit by hitting Shift Sound, if you go up to your LFO, choose that LFO to be a step, which is all the way to the end. When you choose it to be a step type of LFO, simply press enter and you'll have a step edit for your LFO. This will allow you to place an LFO curve at each step. The final functions I will explain are on the step edit mode. Two functions are in a note utility function now. To get to it, simply select a step by pressing Shift and the step. When you get to this screen, you can now press the function button and it will bring up a utility for a note utility. This will allow you to shift the step so many steps left or right, or you can quantize after. Doing so will allow you to play in a beat, and if it is off beat, you can simply shift, get into the first step, press right, and hit enter to quantize those steps you just entered. Back in this menu, if you go over to your motion, while there is a motion designer page, by simply hitting function, you'll get to that motion designer. Now there's a second page in the designer called a motion drawer. This will allow you to draw out your custom made motion for whatever you are doing. Again, in the motion tab of a step edit, press function to bring up the standard motion designer. Press right to bring up the motion drawer. These are all the new added features in the 1.30 firmware update. I hope some of the added features are what you've been looking for or something you didn't expect. If you want details on any of these features, please find the appropriate video in the playlist below. If you found this video helpful, hit that thumbs up, ring the bell to stay subscribed, and as always, thanks for watching.